Okay. So first, a note about if you can even hear it. There's music in the background. Normally I don't listen to music like this. I usually listen to, if I listen to anything in the studio, you usually listen to contemporary music, or even just sounds, field notes, people recording the world that they live in. I listen to a program, their field recorders upload all of their recordings. It's actually really, really interesting. But I thought the field recordings that are playing right now are quite distracting, so I thought I would just put on, this is a Spotify mix. But anyway, I'm recording this video because I recently mentioned to a mentioned to a student that I really only share a fraction of the work that I do. And after saying that out loud, I thought that was quite unfortunate. So I think I'm going to start to share some of the work that I don't show. And there's enough of it that it's become a fairly significant part of what I do. So let's see, I don't know. But I was going to start with the sketchbook, which was a gift given to me by a friend. And I started it years ago from a different life. And this is, I thought I would just go through it. And I'm not going to go through it quickly because I'm going to post this on YouTube. And either people will look at it or they won't look at it. Either they get bored by it or not. It's not really, I'm just sharing it for myself and for those that might be interested. So hopefully I'll just be able to talk about it, and we'll see how it goes. I won't draw it out, but the idea of rushing, I don't know, at this point in my life, I don't want to rush. So yeah, so this is a sketchbook from years ago, probably 2016. So maybe now I started it in 2016. These were just notes and ideas about paintings that I'd like to create, notions. This I remember was an idea that I thought was fresh in my mind, but it turns out that I probably came across an Ellsworth Kelly painting, and it was just locked in my mind. So this is very much an Ellsworth Kelly theme. But for me, at the time I was living in a house that had this garden it faced the south side, and the sun was really very strong. So this notion, and then there was some hedges, some trees. So this notion of really bright sun and darker trees and hedges, the color of wood, color of grass, the color of foliage. This red sort of interrupts the whole theme. Here's the nature. This is probably the hedges in my backyard with a stone and some, maybe the beginning of a bush or a tree. This I remember was, this is my bedroom. I was married at the time, so this was my wife and my dog. And there was a lot of turmoil in my life, and I think that's why I kind of illustrated the bed as, it almost looks like just the mattresses are there. And there are these black shapes of my family at the time. And we had a beautiful window that looked out onto a tree. And I still have plans to do this painting. I've kind of ignored it, but I think I'm going to just do it for myself. This is another piece from another idea about a figure in my living room. There's the backyard again with this tree. It was I think it was sort of a cherry blossom tree. And at the end of my time there's this beautiful branch that probably should have been pruned, but it finally did crack off in a storm, and that was sort of a significant thing about what was happening in my relationship at the time, that it was breaking. This was a drawing I did of my wife there. We had palm trees, or I had palms, so that the movement and the form of the palm frond was at that time a significant motif. And here it is again. This is a window with the roof of a house. Side of the house, the roof. The trees and foliage of the neighborhood. I'm thinking about a tree there. This is another idea that takes place in my living room. This was the windows that were in the back, very architecturally beautifully architecturally designed space. They had this beautiful window. This likely was my wife. Maybe there was a couch there or not. I don't know. She was at the time a subject that I explored fairly often. These were I was in California and I picked up this. I went to the ocean or the beach, and there were these tidal pools that had these really interesting vegetation. So I was trying to play with the design of this vegetation. This I think was not. This was probably a big fig leaf. I think this was, I look back now and think about what was going on in my life at the time. I think this represents the significant darkness that I was visiting at the time, and the ambiguity that I felt. And then this starts when I found this sketchbook. I thought I would continue it and work in it. So this starts paintings that from now. This was not that. This is within a year or so. And I'm moving, just looking for a different way of painting. I think it's interesting when you look back through a book like this. There are moments like this that are gestural. They had a particular idea, but then it might be abandoned, and then they just live as this gesture. And a figure, another figure. This is when I started becoming interested in what's happening in the book and finding a new way of thinking about working. I ended up taking images from this book and doing small paintings from them. To me, this looked like two girls playing, something childlike about the two figures. This is very far out of the work that I do. I don't know. Maybe it's close. I don't know. But another piece that I'd like to do. These, I can tell years later, after the beginning of this book, I can tell that I'm not as haunted by things. Sort of freer from personal narratives. So it would be nice to claim this. I think there's an animal here. Either an animal's going this way, or maybe the animal's going this way. Maybe the dog's head with a tail, or maybe it's a horse with a tail. this form has found itself into paintings that I've done. This too has found itself. This too, I painted, I did a large painting of this to test it. And then it didn't work out exactly, or didn't work out, just period. And so I painted over it. But something that I'd like to do again. I'd like to try a whole series of these. These are shapes that have significance to me. This is a stone, and I think this is another stone, small thin stone. And then these two shapes are significant because they appear in different artwork that I liked. I love the color of this paper. I began to grow to love the color of this paper. So this is this sort of rabbit or a hare that I imagine, and I ended up doing a painting of this as well. And I just love the way this green and the pink and the color of this paper work together. Another piece I've done to test out what it would be like to do a painting like this, to use this as a reference and almost paint a portrait of it. And I've come up with a way of developing the space and developing the rhythms, and like many people talk about, knowing when to stop, knowing why I'm painting it, and so therefore knowing when to stop. There's a nice arc here that's working, and a nice sort of rectangle. Those two shapes are working with each other. This is a motif that I explore often. Comes from a drawing that a student did of mine, a very, very early beginning student, which she was painting or drawing a lily, a stargazing flower, as a still life motif. And in a way, she did a bad drawing. And I tried to convince her that I loved it. I thought it was quite unique and spoke to a different nature that nature can have. So I've drawn this many times. I sort of memorized it and then have drawn it many times. I find it very odd, but interesting. And I love the blue and this color next to it. A little bit more like work that I've done before. Figures. This figure almost looks like it's expiring. There's another figure here watching or taking care of or tending to, being present with. This motif you find in art history often. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but it has arrived. I'm talking about these. It's a triangle, it's a pyramid, it's a shape in nature, and I think it arrives as an important motif to many artists. When I sort of discovered it, I thought about the film The Close Encounters of the Close Encounters. I forget the whole title right now. He builds a giant mound in his living room, and he's compelled by this shape. I think I also have seen it recently in Paris at Giacometti's. It's I believe a sculpture, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's a wall drawing that's in Giacometti's studio. So I think there's these shared archetypical motifs that if you're an artist long enough, you end up coming across them. So this is a motif that I explore, and it articulates space in a very simple way. This negative shape becomes interesting to me, the blue, the light blue, the brown, and the variation in brush stroke. It's all something that I'm aware of when I'm doing it. You know, nothing to hold on to, but certainly something that's important, how this space is left open. It's all very important in the structure of this composition. This ended up feeling like a horse. With its mouth open. And I didn't think about drawing that, but there's something, I do have this theory that there's intuitive drawing, intuitive expression. That horse was available at the moment, and I drew it without even knowing it. This is like a big rat. First time I've ever done something like that. Pushed my painting to express something in my wheelhouse would be odd. The color, the color and the form and the length of the animal. 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg, head, long body. Sort of a green, gross atmosphere. And I'm compelled by this piece even more than the horse, and looking forward to it becoming a subject for a larger painting. It's a figure reclining. Another piece that I created a painting from. You can see the hip, the legs the knee and the legs that go back, torso, there might be a head here. Looks like I skipped a bunch of pages. This is interesting. This is probably why I stopped this painting, because I found this part interesting. And then, because this has some interest, this might be something. So I stopped it here. And we'll see, once I sort of detach from it and I'm not worried about destroying it, maybe I'll continue it or work from it in some way. So yeah. And I have a number of these books. I won't go through them all now. But this will become a piece soon. Maybe I'll go through those later at some point. Thanks for listening.